Hello YouTube, Irish Folly here. I made a recent purchase from an international eBay seller and posted my video, my de-enveloping video yesterday, and mentioned that I would post a video outlining the process of making a purchase from an international seller. I couldn't find much on this on YouTube when I went through consideration of this purchase. I thought it would be helpful to kind of outline some thoughts around it. You're going to have to do your own due diligence. This is in my view, somewhat riskier process than buying from a U.S. seller. Though, if you look back 2 videos ago, I did buy counterfeit Somali elephants from a U.S. seller. I recommend you see that video. Thanks to some of other YouTubers, I had some means through measurement and weighing to determine when I thought these looked a little different than the others that I had, to determine if they were off weight and off size, returned them, got a refund. But there are fakes out there, and I think that video helps you with at least a comparison of good versus bad Somalis, but you can do the same thing with other types of coins. So take a look at that. I did receive several responses after I posted the international unboxing yesterday from YouTubers who are interested in understanding the thoughts around how do you go through this process and what does it mean. I don't have an ideal tripod setup, so I went ahead and wrote this out rather than trying to write it as I went. We're going to start at the bottom. Why would you want to buy from an international seller? I was looking for a 2009 Somali elephant. It's a great looking coin. Maybe you can see it there. If not, look at the other video. And actually found that I could, the cheapest I could find, the 2009 in the US, was about $75 with shipping, maybe a little bit more than that. And I had an opportunity here to buy the 2009/2010, which actually has a 2010 reverse with the or actually I think it's the obverse, with a 2009 reverse. 30,000 of these or so made, and I really wanted to get this. I like that a lot. And this was an opportunity for me to buy something cheaper. So I did consider internationals. I looked through also availability. Because these are produced in Germany, it seemed that there was reasonable availability in Germany in addition to the US. Strength of the dollar is a big deal. When I look at Australian pricing on items, so Australian sellers for kookaburras, and particularly some older, more expensive kookaburras, and look at these elephants, there was a material difference in price. So the costs associated with buying internationally, which include higher shipping costs and conversion of currency costs, which we'll go through in a second, it still made certain sense to consider this. Obviously, there's greater risk. So from a diligence perspective, all of us need to do our diligence when we buy on eBay. When you're buying internationally, you're going to have international language issues potentially. Obviously, if you're buying from Australia and Canada, Great Britain, other English-speaking destinations, you may find that you can read all of the feedback. With German, I took some high school German so I could make out some of the words and phrases, which helped me. This person also had about 20% of their feedback in English. Their feedback was very positive, but it wasn't extensive. So there was some risk just based on volume of feedback and volume of sales that they had made. But I made the decision to buy from them, and don't regret that decision. This transaction was certainly acceptable. The coin's not as absolutely perfect as I would have liked it to have been, but for bullion, it's certainly good enough or beyond. Love the overall look of it. So don't regret making the purchase. But again, diligence, feedback. Understanding terms can be challenging because it'll be written in the local language. So this was in German. Understanding shipping, both the method and the fees. So as you go through the process, make sure you understand, and set your expectations based on when you might receive it. eBay does okay in forecasting when receipt might be reasonable in the location of the purchase. They were, I think they tend to be a little conservative. They gave me a range, and this was in the front end of the range when it actually arrived. Now, it did take about 12 days for it to arrive here. We're used to faster shipping from people we buy from in the US. Just set your expectations. The other thing I found is that there is no tracking. So you're sending this particular item came via Deutsche Post Brief, which after researching that, that is equivalent to the U.S. first class mail. It does go overseas, so it came from Europe to the U.S. via air. And most of their mail type packages, not parcel type packages, but mail, does appear to all come over via air versus being shipped via boat. Parcels, some of them come, it looks like, via air, and some don't. Do your homework if you think your seller is going to be using parcel shipment, so you can set your expectations and understandings. But again, no tracking is different. I'm used to following that shipment. They did notify me when it was shipped, but once I got the notification of shipment, I had nothing to go on until it actually arrived. And I think that's going to be true probably of most international mail shipments. If your seller's using UPS or FedEx or DHL, you may get more tracking information, but I would guess it's going to be a lot more expensive from a shipping perspective. So, those are some of the overall thoughts on the international transaction. You got to have a little bit more trust. You're taking more risk. You should, really, I wouldn't buy internationally if the things were available in the U.S. At a similar price. So, but here I really couldn't get this in the U.S. and from a cost perspective, it was different. Again, as I mentioned, it was probably $75 to get this thing if I bought it from a U.S. seller, maybe more with the fact that it's the more unique coin, not just the straight 2009. So I was actually going to try to cover some of this up so you could digest as I go, but final purchase price including shipping was 40.99 euro. If I butchered the euro symbol, that's just me. My options then, when I got to the checkout position, was to use PayPal and use PayPal using my normal credit card that I use via PayPal, but to use PayPal to do the conversion. Their conversion was $0.8654 to the euro. That yielded a price of $47.37. The other option was using my credit card via PayPal. Now again, the credit card then was doing the conversion. It defaults to PayPal doing the conversion, but you do have the option of having your card do the conversion. I didn't do PayPal. I don't believe there were any fees beyond this lower conversion rate. But if you're going to do that, I'd diligence that before you make your purchase to make sure that I'm not incorrect, that there are no fees. Again, comment if you guys are aware if there are fees that PayPal charges beyond the conversion rate. With my credit card, I got a better conversion rate, 0.897, but I had to pay a $1.25 transaction fee because I was converting from non-U.S. currency or to a non-U.S. currency, and also a 2.7% fee that my credit card charges. Credit cards are different. American Express generally 2.7, non-American Express generally 3.0. There's a few cards that convert for free. I looked to see if you could get one of those without paying an annual fee, and it didn't look, I didn't find one. Not that I'd have been able to use it for this transaction, but I was curious. So if you check your card to determine your conversion fees. Most of them are going to be something I think similar to this. So it was $47.81 using the credit card to convert, and it was $47.37 to use PayPal. The way it looked to me, there's probably a break-even point because of the difference in conversion rate if you're buying particularly expensive items. I ran some numbers based on the types of purchases I might expect to make via eBay on an international basis. I would not do large, particularly large purchases that way just because of the risk, and I didn't get to the break-even point. So it's generally it's going to be cheaper again if there are no fees associated with the PayPal conversion other than the conversion rate to use PayPal to do the conversion. At least on this transaction, again, you need to kind of do some diligence to understand if those are, I've got one transaction, not multiples, so you would need to do an assessment to see if that those ratios continue to work. Anyway, so that's where I came out. Again, the thing worked out all right. I got my my purchase 11, 12 days. I didn't think it was unreasonable to come from overseas. The lack of tracking was a little bothersome. I wish that was available, but it's not. So you know that going in. Strength of the U.S. dollar can make some sense today. It's really strong compared to the euro. It's strong, at least it appears to me it's very strong compared to the Australian dollar. And I think, I'm not sure versus Canada what that's where we stand there. But, those are the most likely countries I could see buying things from based on what I'm interested in and where it might make sense from a cost perspective to buy. Hope this is helpful. If it is, and I'm open to comments, if other people have experience with this and want to share it, that would be great. The goal here is to help other people and me as we consider making our purchases via all kinds of stacking options. Thank you. Have a good day.